9 Stoic Principles to build self-discipline. Have you ever set a big goal, only to find yourself giving up halfway through? Or maybe you've told yourself time and time again that you're going to be more disciplined, but you still end up procrastinating? Trust me, you're not alone. It's something we all struggle with, at some point or another. But what if I told you that there's a time-tested philosophy that could help you break free from that cycle of self-sabotage and finally build the kind of self-discipline you've been dreaming of? Enter Stoicism. I know, it might sound like an ancient, dusty philosophy, something from centuries ago that seems irrelevant to our fast-paced modern world. But here's the thing. Stoicism is far from outdated. It's actually one of the most practical, powerful frameworks for personal growth we have today. And the best part? It's built on principles that can help you develop unshakable self-discipline. In this video, I'm going to share 9 Stoic principles that will completely change the way you think about discipline. These are the same principles that helped the great Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, stay calm, focused, and productive, even in the most chaotic times. These principles are timeless, and they work. They will help you focus on what truly matters, tackle challenges head-on, and stay on track with your goals. But here's the catch. It's not just about learning these principles. It's about living them. This is a journey. It won't be easy, but I promise you, if you commit to these Stoic practices, you'll start to see real changes in how you approach self-discipline and in your life overall. So, if you're ready to unlock the power of Stoicism and take control of your habits, your mindset, and your life, stick around. Let's dive in. Part 1. Control what you can. Accept what you cannot. Let's kick things off with one of the most powerful principles in Stoicism. Control what you can, and accept what you cannot. This idea comes straight from the core of Stoic philosophy and is truly a game changer when it comes to building self-discipline. Here's the thing. A lot of times, we get caught up in trying to control every little detail of our lives. We stress about the things that are completely outside of our control. The weather, the traffic, what other people think of us. We try to control every outcome, every situation, and when things don't go our way, we feel frustrated, disappointed, or worse, defeated. Sound familiar? Now, imagine how much mental energy we could free up if we stopped stressing about things beyond our control. Picture how much time and energy we would have to actually focus on the things that matter. Things we can control, like our own actions, our reactions, and the choices we make every single day. I want you to think about the last time you were stressed out. Really think about it. Was it because you were trying to control something outside of your power? Maybe you were angry about something someone else did, or you were obsessing over something that didn't turn out the way you wanted. That's where Stoicism can help. The Stoics believed in a concept called the dichotomy of control. Essentially, that there are 2 types of things in life, those we can control and those we cannot. And the secret to true self-discipline is focusing only on what's within your control. This doesn't mean you don't care about the things around you. It means you stop letting them rule your emotional state and your decisions. You focus your energy on what you can change and let go of the rest. Take a moment to think about this. You can control your attitude. You can control the effort you put into your goals. You can control how you react to challenges. But you can't control the weather, the economy, or what other people say or do. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you'll stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. Instead, you'll focus your attention on the present moment and how you can show up in your own life, no matter what's happening around you. Personal perspective. Let me tell you, this principle has completely changed the way I approach self-discipline. There was a time when I would spend hours stressing over things like what other people thought about me or situations that were entirely beyond my control. I'd find myself in this cycle of worry, feeling like I was being dragged along by life. But once I really understood the power of this Stoic principle, I started shifting my focus. I stopped wasting my time and energy on things I couldn't control, and I started focusing on what I could. I noticed a huge difference. My stress levels went down, and my productivity and discipline soared. Instead of letting external circumstances dictate my day, I took control of my mindset, and that was all I needed to keep moving forward. Takeaway for self-discipline. So, here's the takeaway. If you want to build real self-discipline, it starts with this understanding. Stop fighting battles that don't matter. Accept that some things are out of your control and channel your energy into what you can actually influence. That's the key to staying focused, staying disciplined, and, ultimately, staying in control of your life. Part 2. Practice negative visualization. All right, let's move on to negative visualization, another incredibly powerful Stoic practice. It might sound strange at first, but trust me, it's one of the most effective ways to build self-discipline and resilience. Negative visualization is the idea of imagining the worst-case scenario. It's not about being pessimistic or seeing the glass half empty. It's about mentally preparing yourself for life's inevitable challenges and setbacks. It's about appreciating what you have and reminding yourself that nothing is guaranteed. The more you can prepare for the worst, the more resilient and disciplined you'll be when life doesn't go according to plan. Here's how it works. Instead of waiting for bad things to happen and reacting with panic or frustration, you proactively imagine them. You visualize what it would feel like if you lost your job, if you faced a major obstacle in your life, or if your plans completely fell apart. Now, I know this might sound a bit intense, but hear me out. The Stoics believed that by mentally preparing for these challenges, we're less likely to be overwhelmed when they actually occur. We become more resilient because we've already processed the worst-case scenario in our minds. Personal perspective. I can honestly say that practicing negative visualization has been one of the most transformative habits I've adopted. There was a time when I would get hit by unexpected challenges, and I'd panic or fall into despair. But once I started thinking about the worst possible outcome in advance, I realized I was already preparing myself for life's curveballs. And when things did go wrong, I was much more able to accept it and move forward. It gave me a sense of control, because I knew that whatever came my way, I had already mentally rehearsed how to handle it. The best part about negative visualization is that it doesn't just prepare you for tough times, it also helps you appreciate what you already have. By imagining losing something you take for granted, like a job, a relationship, or even your health, you start to value it more. You become more grateful for the things in your life. And when you approach your goals with this mindset, you stop taking things for granted and instead start acting with purpose and discipline. Takeaway for self-discipline. So, here's the takeaway for building self-discipline. Don't wait for a crisis to prepare yourself. Start practicing negative visualization now. Imagine the worst-case scenarios, not to dwell on them, but to prepare yourself mentally and emotionally. This will help you stay calm, focused, and resilient when obstacles arise. And, as a bonus, it will increase your gratitude for the good things in your life, making it easier to stay motivated and disciplined every day. Part 3. Focus on the present moment. Now, let's dive into a principle that might be a game changer for you. Focus on the present moment. This might sound simple, but in reality, it's one of the hardest things to do, especially in a world where distractions are everywhere. Here's the thing. The Stoics knew that the only time we truly have is the present. The past is gone, and the future is uncertain. But too often, we waste our energy either dwelling on mistakes we made in the past or worrying about things that may or may not happen in the future. This pulls us away from the only time that matters, the here and now. The Stoics taught that true wisdom comes from focusing on the present moment, because it's the only time where we actually have the power to make a difference. Whether you're trying to build a habit, stay disciplined with a goal, or simply live a more peaceful life, the present is where it all happens. It's where we make decisions, take action, and build the life we want. When we get caught up in thoughts about the past or future, it not only takes us away from what we can control, but also diminishes our ability to act. It's like being stuck in quicksand. You keep thinking about how bad things are, or how they might be in the future, and you end up sinking deeper into inaction. But when you bring your focus back to the present, you regain control. You take back your power. You choose to act. Personal perspective. Let me share something personal. There was a time when I would spend days thinking about all the mistakes I had made, or I'd be paralyzed by fear of what the future held. I would sit there, procrastinating, wondering what the perfect time to start something would be. But every time I found myself doing that, nothing ever got done. I was caught up in the past or paralyzed by the future. But the moment I started focusing on the present, everything changed. I stopped worrying about whether or not I'd fail. I stopped thinking about the mistakes I'd made in the past. Instead, I started taking small actions in the here and now. I realized that the only thing I could control was what I was doing right now. And that was the key to making progress and staying disciplined. It didn't matter how much time I had wasted or what obstacles were ahead. I could always choose to act in the present. Takeaway for self-discipline. The big takeaway here is this. If you want to build real self-discipline, you have to focus on the present moment. Every time you catch yourself spiraling into thoughts about the past or the future, gently bring your attention back to right now. Break your tasks down into small, manageable actions that you can focus on today. You don't need to worry about tomorrow's to-do list. You just need to take the next step in front of you. That's how you stay disciplined, and that's how you build momentum. Part 4. Practice self-restraint. Let's move on to another principle that's essential for self-discipline. Practice self-restraint. Now, this might sound a bit old-fashioned, but bear with me. Self-restraint is one of the cornerstones of Stoic philosophy, and it's a practice that's incredibly important if you want to master self-discipline in your life. Self-restraint means choosing long-term gain over short-term pleasure. It's about resisting the temptation to indulge in things that will derail your progress, whether that's mindless scrolling on your phone, overeating, or giving in to procrastination. The Stoics believe that true freedom comes not from doing whatever we want, but from controlling our impulses and focusing on what truly matters. In a world where instant gratification is at our fingertips, self-restraint can feel like an uphill battle. But the Stoics believed that the more we practiced self-restraint, the more we strengthened our willpower. And willpower is what drives self-discipline. Without self-restraint, we give in to distractions and impulses that lead us off track. But when we learn to delay gratification and make decisions based on our long-term goals, we build a foundation of discipline that lasts. Self-restraint isn't about depriving yourself. It's about making conscious choices that align with your values and goals. It's the ability to say no to things that don't serve your higher purpose, and yes to things that move you forward, even when they're hard or uncomfortable. Personal perspective. I'll be honest, I've struggled with self-restraint. There were plenty of times when I'd convince myself that a quick break to check my phone or indulge in a snack wouldn't hurt. But before I knew it, hours had passed, and I had made zero progress toward my goals. It felt like I was stuck in a cycle of temporary pleasures, never truly moving forward. But when I started to practice self-restraint, everything shifted. I learned to say no to the distractions, the little indulgences, and the instant gratifications. And in doing so, I made room for the things that actually mattered. My goals, my relationships, my health. It wasn't always easy, but it was always worth it. And I began to notice something amazing. The more I practiced self-restraint, the stronger my self-discipline became. Takeaway for self-discipline. The key takeaway here is this. If you want to build self-discipline, you need to start practicing self-restraint. You don't have to give up all pleasures in life, but you do need to be mindful about where you're spending your time and energy. Ask yourself, does this align with my goals? Is this a short-term pleasure or a long-term investment in my future? The more you practice saying no to distractions, the more you'll train your mind to stay focused on what really matters. Part 5. Cultivate gratitude. All right, let's talk about gratitude. Something that's often overlooked, but is incredibly powerful when it comes to building self-discipline. Now, I know you've probably heard people say, be thankful for what you have. It sounds simple, but there's more to it than just saying thank you when something good happens. Stoicism takes gratitude a step further by encouraging us to develop a deep appreciation for life, even in its hardships. The Stoics believed that no matter how tough things get, there's always something to be grateful for. This is important because when we cultivate gratitude, we shift our focus from what's lacking in our lives to what we already have. And when we focus on the positive, we become more grounded, more resilient, and more disciplined in our actions. Gratitude isn't just about being thankful for big blessings. It's about acknowledging the small things too. The simple fact that you woke up this morning, the food you have to eat, the roof over your head. When we stop and recognize these things, we create a mindset of abundance instead of scarcity. And when you're grateful, it becomes easier to stay disciplined because you realize that what you have right now is enough. You don't need more to be happy or to succeed. By practicing gratitude, we learn to accept life as it is, and that acceptance helps us focus on what we can control, rather than complaining about what we can't. It strengthens our ability to persevere, even when things aren't going our way. Gratitude gives us perspective. It reminds us that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. Personal perspective. I'll tell you, this principle was a huge turning point for me. I spent so much time focusing on what I didn't have, what I hadn't achieved yet, and it made me feel frustrated and unmotivated. I'd look at where others were in their journeys and feel like I was falling behind. But when I started practicing gratitude, everything changed. I began to write down 3 things I was grateful for every morning. Sometimes it was simple, like the ability to have a quiet moment with my thoughts before the day started. Other times, it was something deeper, like the support of family and friends. Slowly, I started to shift my mindset from lack to abundance, and that shift helped me stay disciplined. I wasn't chasing perfection anymore. I was working with what I had, and that made all the difference. Takeaway for self-discipline. So here's the takeaway. If you want to cultivate self-discipline, start by practicing gratitude. It may seem small, but it's incredibly powerful. Take time each day to reflect on what you're thankful for, and watch how it shifts your focus and energy. When you appreciate the present moment and the blessings you already have, it becomes easier to stay disciplined, stay motivated, and keep moving forward. Part 6. Accept hardship as a teacher. Now, let's dive into one of the toughest Stoic principles to practice: accepting hardship as a teacher. I know this one can be a bit hard to digest, especially when you're going through tough times. But trust me, once you embrace this principle, you'll develop an inner strength that will make you nearly unstoppable. The Stoics believed that life's difficulties weren't just random obstacles or things to be avoided. Instead, they saw hardship as an opportunity for growth. When we face challenges, we're being taught something. We're being given the chance to build resilience, strengthen our character, and refine our self-discipline. In fact, some of the most important lessons in life come from hardship. Think about it. When everything is going well, it's easy to coast. But when you're faced with adversity, that's when you're forced to dig deep, be resourceful, and find your strength. Hardship forces you to act with discipline, whether it's staying calm in the face of a crisis or sticking to your goals when life feels overwhelming. The key to embracing hardship as a teacher is reframing how you view difficulties. Instead of seeing them as something to avoid or fear, try seeing them as opportunities to learn. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this challenge help me become stronger, wiser, or more disciplined? Personal perspective. I'll be honest. I didn't always see hardship this way. There was a time when I would get frustrated and angry when things didn't go my way. I'd ask, why is this happening to me? And feel sorry for myself. But over time, I started realizing that every setback had something valuable to teach me. One of the biggest challenges I faced was the fear of failure. I wanted everything to go perfectly, but when things went wrong, I'd spiral into doubt. But as I began to apply Stoic principles to my life, I started to see failure differently. I started to understand that failure wasn't the end. It was a stepping stone. It was the universe teaching me resilience, patience, and the importance of consistency. Every failure became a lesson that brought me closer to my goals. And as I embraced this mindset, my self-discipline grew stronger because I stopped letting setbacks define me. Takeaway for self-discipline. So, what's the takeaway here? Life is tough. There's no doubt about it. But instead of running from challenges, start seeing them as your teachers. Every hardship you face is an opportunity to grow, to become more disciplined, and to develop a stronger, more resilient mindset. The next time you encounter a setback, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Embrace the lesson, and you'll be amazed at how much stronger you become in the process. Part 7. Pursue excellence, not perfection. Now, let's move on to one of the most powerful and liberating Stoic principles. Pursue excellence, not perfection. This one can truly set you free from the endless cycle of frustration and self-doubt that perfectionism so often creates. We live in a world that often celebrates perfection. We see flawless photos on social media, we hear stories of overnight success, and we're constantly bombarded by the idea that everything has to be perfect to be worthwhile. But here's the problem. Perfection doesn't exist, and when we chase it, we set ourselves up for disappointment. We waste time, energy, and mental space striving for something that will always be out of reach. The Stoics, however, didn't believe in perfection. They believed in striving for excellence. There's a huge difference. Excellence is about doing your best, improving constantly, and giving your all in everything you do. It's about setting high standards for yourself, but understanding that making mistakes and learning along the way is part of the journey. Perfectionism, on the other hand, paralyzes you. It tells you that if something isn't perfect, it isn't good enough. It causes you to procrastinate, fear failure, and ultimately, lose the discipline to take action. By focusing on excellence, you free yourself from the need to be perfect, and in doing so, you actually become better. You give yourself permission to fail, learn from those failures, and grow. Excellence allows you to take imperfect action, knowing that improvement comes from the process, not from a perfect outcome. Personal perspective. For years, I struggled with perfectionism. Every project, every task, every goal had to be just right before I could move forward. I'd overthink things until I was paralyzed by the idea that it wasn't perfect enough. And as a result, I'd either abandon projects or spend an unhealthy amount of time trying to perfect them, while never truly making progress. But over time, I started to realize something. Perfectionism wasn't helping me. It was holding me back. Once I started embracing the idea of pursuing excellence instead of perfection, I found that my work became more authentic, and I made more progress. Instead of getting stuck in a loop of trying to make everything flawless, I began focusing on giving my best effort, learning from mistakes, and improving each time I tried. It didn't matter if something wasn't perfect. It mattered that I was moving forward, and that was what built my self-discipline. Takeaway for self-discipline. So here's the key takeaway. If you want to build self-discipline, stop aiming for perfection. Instead, aim for excellence. Set high standards, but understand that you'll grow through the process, not by achieving perfection, but by learning and improving. Give yourself permission to fail, and view every mistake as an opportunity to become better. This mindset will not only make you more productive, but it will also help you build unshakable discipline over time. Part 8. Develop a daily practice of reflection. Let's move on to a crucial practice for personal growth. Developing a daily practice of reflection. This is something the Stoics were deeply committed to, and it's a habit that can profoundly transform your discipline, your mindset, and the way you approach life. The Stoics believed that self-reflection is essential for personal growth. Every day, they would take time to reflect on their actions, their thoughts, and their progress. They would ask themselves questions like, did I live in accordance with my values today? Did I act with integrity? What could I have done better? This practice helped them stay grounded, mindful, and focused on the things that really mattered. Now, let's be clear. This isn't about being self-critical or harsh on yourself. It's not about beating yourself up over mistakes or failures. It's about learning from your experiences and using that knowledge to grow. Reflection helps you understand where you're succeeding, where you're falling short, and what changes you need to make in order to stay on track with your goals. When you take the time to reflect, you give yourself a chance to course correct before things get off track. You also give yourself the opportunity to celebrate your wins, no matter how small they may seem. Reflection helps you cultivate self-awareness, and self-awareness is key to building lasting self-discipline. The more you know yourself, the more you understand your habits, strengths, and weaknesses, the easier it becomes to stay disciplined and focused on what's important. Personal perspective. I'll be honest, this is a practice that took me a while to fully adopt. I used to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life and would rarely take time to reflect on my actions or progress. I was so focused on the future, on what I still needed to do, that I overlooked the importance of looking back at what I'd already accomplished and what I could improve. But once I started developing a daily practice of reflection, everything changed. I began setting aside time at the end of each day to ask myself a few simple questions. What went well today? What could I have done differently? How can I make tomorrow even better? That time of reflection allowed me to get clear on my priorities, stay accountable to my goals, and most importantly, it helped me stay disciplined in the face of challenges. It gave me a chance to reset and realign with what truly mattered to me. Takeaway for self-discipline. The takeaway here is this. If you want to build strong self-discipline, take the time to reflect every single day. It doesn't have to be long or complicated. Just a few minutes of self-reflection can help you become more self-aware, more focused, and more intentional with your time and energy. Ask yourself what's working, what's not, and what you can improve. This practice helps you stay on course, stay disciplined, and become the best version of yourself. Part 9. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals. Now, let's talk about the power of community, specifically, the importance of surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals. This principle is often overlooked, but I believe it's one of the most critical aspects of building lasting self-discipline. The Stoics were firm believers that our environment plays a significant role in shaping who we are and how we behave. They understood that the people we spend time with influence our attitudes, our habits, and our goals. If you want to stay disciplined and focused, you need to make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who will support your growth, challenge you to be better, and hold you accountable. Think about it. When you're around people who share similar values and goals, it's easier to stay on track. You can draw motivation from each other, share wisdom, and celebrate wins together. On the flip side, if you're constantly surrounded by people who are negative, distracted, or disinterested in growth, it can be incredibly draining. You'll find it harder to stay disciplined because you're not being supported in your journey. The Stoics didn't just talk about this, they lived it. They understood that being around people who were wise, virtuous, and committed to their own personal development would elevate their own thinking and actions. And they didn't just rely on friends and family, they actively sought out like-minded individuals who shared their passion for self-improvement. This is something we can all apply to our own lives today. Personal perspective. When I first began my journey toward building more self-discipline, I realized that I wasn't getting the support I needed from my environment. I was surrounded by people who didn't prioritize growth or who were constantly distracted by external noise. It became hard to stay motivated and disciplined in my goals because there was no one to push me, no one to keep me accountable. But as soon as I started surrounding myself with people who had similar ambitions, whether it was through joining a group of like-minded individuals online, finding a mentor, or connecting with people in my community who were passionate about personal development, it was like a switch flipped. I felt more energized, more focused, and more determined to stay disciplined. Having people around me who were striving for the same things not only inspired me, but it also made me feel responsible to keep showing up. They held me accountable in ways I never could have done alone. Takeaway for self-discipline. Here's the key takeaway. If you want to build lasting self-discipline, seek out a community that will support you. Surround yourself with people who share your values, your goals, and your commitment to growth. Don't be afraid to seek out mentors or connect with individuals who inspire you. When you're surrounded by like-minded individuals, your self-discipline will grow exponentially. You'll challenge each other, support each other, and help each other rise to the occasion. If you don't have this community right now, take action. Seek out groups, online communities, or local events where you can find people who align with your vision. Even if it starts small, it's the first step toward building an environment that nurtures your self-discipline. Conclusion. Embracing Stoic principles for lasting self-discipline. And there you have it. The 9 Stoic principles that, when applied to your life, can help you build unshakable self-discipline. To recap, control what you can, accept what you cannot. Focus your energy on what you can change, and let go of things beyond your control. Practice negative visualization. Prepare for challenges, appreciate what you have, and develop emotional resilience. Focus on the present moment. Stay grounded in the now, and take action today instead of worrying about yesterday or tomorrow. Practice self-restraint. Resist instant gratification, and focus on long-term rewards instead of short-term pleasures. Cultivate gratitude. Appreciate what you have, and shift your mindset to one of abundance. Accept hardship as a teacher. See challenges as opportunities to grow, and embrace life's difficulties as stepping stones. Pursue excellence, not perfection. Strive to do your best, not to be perfect. Learn through action, not through perfection. Develop a daily practice of reflection. Regularly assess your actions, learn from your mistakes, and celebrate your wins. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals. Build a supportive environment with people who inspire you, challenge you, and help you stay accountable. I've shared these principles with you because I truly believe they can change your life. But here's the thing. Knowing these principles is one thing. Living them is another. Self-discipline isn't built overnight. It's a daily practice. It's something you cultivate over time, and it requires constant effort and commitment. But if you stay true to these Stoic principles, you'll start seeing results. You'll become more focused, more resilient, and more capable of achieving the goals you've set for yourself. You'll have the strength to push through challenges, the wisdom to stay focused on what truly matters, and the discipline to keep moving forward, no matter what life throws your way. I know this is a big journey, but I promise you, it's worth it. Stick to these principles, apply them in your life, and watch your self-discipline grow stronger with every day that passes. Thank you for sticking with me through this journey. If any of these Stoic principles resonated with you, I'd love to hear about your experiences in the comments below. Which principle do you think will have the biggest impact on your life? How do you plan to apply these ideas moving forward? Let's keep this conversation going. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more insights about personal growth, discipline, and living a more fulfilling life. Remember, the power to change is in your hands. Let's make it happen.